people in our city saying it's not really fair that we feel like we're going to get charged twice. The whole school, the millage went to Holiday Island and everyone in the school district. But when we built the middle school, we also waived fees. And they feel like, that's taking from our city twice because Holiday Island's not getting charged that in extra, And so I feel like once the $20,925 comes off, it's fair.
But again, we're generating probably upwards of $150,000 of tax revenue for the city too because of the project.
I asked about that, and I'm really not sure that I understand all that what you're saying, because they told me that if they're bringing on their own trucks supplies from Fayetteville over here to work, that we're not going to get that tax money.
It's a destination tax. That's changed in the last couple of years. It used to be wherever you purchased it from, but that's not, now it's a destination tax. So to be able to leave the job, most material suppliers, they've got to have the ability to know what job they ask that the first thing that's what job is it going to, where is it going to? And of course it'll be here, so the destination taxes will be here, materials.
Wait a minute, you're saying that if you are a Fayetteville contractor and you have a job in Eureka and you're buying supplies in Fayetteville and bringing them over here to use, that Fayetteville gets, or that Eureka gets that sales tax? That's not the way I understand that sales tax law.
If those materials go into this project, and there may be some smaller
But you purchase them. You are Fayetteville and you purchase them in Fayetteville.
But you're not purchasing, this is a big, big project. So you may be purchasing $100,000 worth of copper piping. That's going to be delivered to the job. It's not going to be the contractors. There may be some small miscellaneous stuff that they go buy, but the materials are going to be delivered from the suppliers involved to the project for probably 95% of the materials.
Mr. Berry?
I guess, Mr. Carr, would you give us any consideration on giving the old school to the city and giving a discount to the city?
That really wouldn't be up to me. That'd be up to the school board. But I think the school board has stated they would love for this school building and that property to stay in the city and be used for the community in whatever form or fashion, I don't know. And we are pursuing that, and we would love to have that happen. We really would. But again, there's money there that will need to be turned over to maybe used in a project or used for other school uses. So I'm not sure where that's going yet. We do have an appraisal for around $990,000 for the property, and I would love to see that stay locally.
Wow. Ms. Sellers?
Well, I'm in favor of not waiving any fees until we find out what we're going to get into having to rebuild that road. And then if it turns out that there is a lot of money there, we can always remit the fees back to the school board as a donation. I kind of like the suggestion, because we don't know what we're going to get into trying to reconstruct that road. We don't know what shape it's going to be in when they're done.
Anybody else?
I'm totally confused. What you read in that book, okay, in plain English, what does that mean?
Means you don't get a fee for the capacity change, but that's only a portion of what they're asking you about.
Okay, so
that's the $20,000.
It's the 47.
That's the $20,000 roughly.
Okay, and then according to your discussion, and I lost my paper, with Municipal League, what they had suggested, how does that fit in here?
The caution from Mr. Schoen is that it could be malfeasance to waive the fee. He's suggesting it be a donation back if that's what you wish to do.
So the bottom line is Municipal League is saying do not waive the fee.
Mm-hmm.
They're suggesting do not waive the fee.
Now,
what we do with it on down the road then is up to us.
Right. What he's saying, the school is not exempt. just because it's a school. Under our code, it's not exempt. What you are allowed to do is that you have to collect the fees no matter what, or you can be accused of malfeasance. You do have the ability to donate it back to the school if you want to from there.
Okay. And when would this decision be made? Is that something we would decide tonight, next year? When
That's
it's
up to you.
done?
That's completely up to you.
Well, because it sounds like we obviously cannot waive the fees. But we can, at some point, whether it's tonight or in a year, make a decision of what to do with those fees. Is that right? There's not a definite time period on that?
I know of no requirement that you do it at a specific time. No, you can do it in the future. And that might be fitting with actually what Bobby Ray said a few minutes ago, that the fees are going to come out from the subcontractors and come to the city. If you donate them back, you'll be donating them not to the subcontractors, but you'd be donating them back directly to the school itself or to the district.
Okay. So we should do that.
Mr. DeVille?
There's no connection between the fees. I mean, it's monies. There's not a continuity from the fees that are collected and the ability of the city to donate. There's not a quid pro quo there. I mean, that money goes into the general fund, and then if the city decides to donate to the school, then it comes out of the general fund. There's not a linkage between the two.
Ms. Schneider?
Can we set up an account or a separate accounting of the fees paid with a stipulation that in a year or whatever, that this money in this, what was put in, will be up for discussion on returning it to the school, donating it to the school?
I don't believe you can do that. They would go in as normal general fund revenue, and they'd go into, and I mean, they may have the ability to segregate it, but I don't think so.
Is there any budgetary item listed for streets and sidewalks?
Not in my budget.
No.
So in other words, that would be out of the city,
Sidewalks in the project in the school area, yes, we have those.
but leading up to the school or street improvements.
I don't have any street
No.
improvements other than right from the.
So the city's going to be responsible for any of that.
Now, we did apply for that grant for the sidewalks, safe routes to school, going all the way from the school back to Plainer Hill, but we have not heard back from that grant yet.
I think one of the things that you noted too, the timeline.
So you
here.
need to come to the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry. One of the things that might be taken into account too is the timeline. I mean, the schools looking, they're going to be bidding the project. They're going to be trying to find out their total overlay of cash, what they can and can't do. And so this is going to affect that. Giving them money back a year or 2 years from now, I mean, I'm sure it'd be great for them, but they wouldn't be able to do much with it into the existing building plans.
We can't really make a motion on it without the fact that we haven't even collected the fees yet for the permits. I mean, when are you actually starting the project?
It'll be in the spring.
So you're not even going to buy permits and construction, paying any fees until next spring anyway?
At least.
You're not even going to be having the same table here by next year, where most of us have been replaced. It's going to be a whole new decision next year anyway. We can't do any determination of it once. If you had already bought the permits and paid the fees and stuff, maybe we could have decided something on it now, but you're talking 4 or 5, 6 months down the road.
The drawings are being drawn now, and that's kind of goes back to my point. I mean, we're developing the drawings now, so it's prudent to know what each part cost and piece and what we can and can't do. That's why we're coming as early as we are. But I understand.
Even if we said that we thought it would be okay to donate the fees back, that once they were collected, the future council could determine that they don't want to do that in the future anyway, because they're the ones that are going to control it once you guys actually pay for it. So
Well, our issue is we've got X amount of dollars, and that's what we have to spend. And we're trying to make the best use of those dollars that we can. And we're working on that budget now, and we'll know that up front, probably in a couple of months or 3 months. We'll know what that budget is, and what it'll build. That's why we're really in the middle of budgets right now. That's why we've come early. I mean, we're looking for every dollar to make that building work, because we raised taxes just enough to build the building. Okay, nothing fancy or anything like that. So we're trying to make all that work.
Ms. Schneider?
Can we decide tonight to donate the money back?
It would smell awful much like a waiver if you did.
Okay. Then since we've been told that we cannot legally waive the fees, basically I think all we can do tonight is say we can't waive them, but we can hope that the next council will return them. It sounds to me like this is the brick wall we have hit, since we can't apparently do anything tonight, but we can advise the next council and hope that they will return this to the school.
Is that accurate, Mr. Weaver?
I think that's pretty accurate.
So once we paid the fees, then we could come back and ask again. Is that what we're saying?
Kim.
A different council, maybe.
The sewer impact fees too, or is that different?
The capacity fees, 20,900 is,
You don't have to worry
You don't
about
have
that because you're just
Okay.
switching buildings unless you're putting in more toilets than you've got right now. And if there's going to be a bigger impact that way, then there's a charge per potty. But other than that, if there's not, count how many you got. That's what I'm telling you. Then there's not a fee. Okay. Mr. Berry?
Well, I guess one last thing. You know, I'm sympathetic, Mr. Card, to your position. And I'm real, and I don't really want to be facetious. The contractor's fee on something like this is probably a lot more than what you're asking us to donate. You're asking us basically to donate something to this point of 0.4% or less, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot of money for the city too. You're right. I mean, it's one pocket out of the other. It's almost like I'd be asking the contractor to donate money out of his fee. I mean, I understand what you're saying on this, but it's also a lot of money for us because we end up having troubles having to raise our water bills to help pay for our sewers. So it's a catch-22 in here. It's kind of one hand helping the other. And I think by donating or being able to get rid of $20,000, that's a third of the cost right there. It's not much money in a $12 million budget. $48,000 isn't much money in a $12 million budget, but at this point, that seems to be the best that we can do, in my opinion, anyway. So, who knows? I mean, maybe we'll have a bonanza with our other taxes somewhere, and we'll see what happens next year.
All right, and again, we're trying to do this with everybody, trying to make it work because we do have X amount of dollars, and that's all we've got. We're not putting it all on the city council, but we're asking everybody to tighten up a little bit. We really are, and we appreciate your consideration for this.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, for working on this. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we will pass on our advice to the next one.
Okay, that puts us to number 2, which we're jumping over to new business, would be the discussion of the plans for the Eureka Springs Hospital from Rock Borderline, CEO of Allegiance Healthcare Management. Before we get him in here, is Pam out there? She is. Pam Crockett is here. She's the chair of the Hospital Commission, and she is going to give a small report.
did you get the contract?